Radio. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. What a group I have here. My colleague Scott Solomon is on tonight. We're going to talk a lot of basketball, some football, and a few off the wall topics. Glad to have you on, partner.
Glad to be here.
And Candy Evelyn, glad to have you on as well.
Always glad to be here.
All right. And of course, Marvin Powell III. I drag him everywhere, and I'm glad he just keeps coming around for the ride, Marvin.
Hey, it's a blessing, Scott. Definitely thankful to be here.
Well, I'm glad that you're on here as well. And George Eichhorn's back.
Yes, sir. Good to be on. Thank you.
The show that we created back in the 1980s, was it, George? I think that's
Yeah,
what we started
sure
this thing.
was.
And now
Early 80s.
we brought it into this other century. We're keeping it really, it's pretty decent shape so nobody forgets about the name or anything else. And last but not least, Jacob Crisper, who's definitely added a dimension like new.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going?
All right. Well, we have a lot to get to tonight. We're going to be talking a lot of basketball, talking some football, and a few off the wall topics. So let's get to it. Well, one of the things I really like to talk about is when it comes to athletes is this, okay? We're going to talk about athletes that own stakes in professional sports teams. This is a really interesting topic. I'm going to list a lot of the names, and then I'm going to go ahead and mention where they're at. You got Patrick Mahomes has stakes in Major League Baseball, National Women's Soccer League, Major League Soccer, Major League Pickleball, that's another one, and Formula One. LeBron James is involved with Major League Baseball, the NHL, the Premier League, and NASCAR. Kevin Durant, National Women's Soccer League, Major League Soccer, Major League Pickleball. Again, Major League Pickleball is one that a lot of people are definitely going to be taking note of. Miles Garrett, the NBA and MLP, as in Major League Pickleball. Naomi Osaka, the tennis player, National Women's Soccer League and Major League Pickleball. And you've got, let's see, I got her. Then we got James Harden, National Women's Soccer League, MLS. Giannis is actually involved with MLB and it looks like MLS. A lot of the Milwaukee teams out there, and Aaron Rodgers all with the NBA and Lewis Hamilton, the NFL. Let me continue that a little bit and go into some of the specifics. With Patrick Mahomes, he owns Alpine, an F1 team, Miami Pickleball, Sporting Kansas City, KC2, and then Kansas City Royals. LeBron James is a part of the Boston Red Sox, the Pittsburgh Penguins, Liverpool, and RFK Racing. Kevin Durant, New York Women's Soccer, Philadelphia Union, DC Pickleball. Miles Garrett actually has the Cleveland Cavaliers, Major League Pickleball. Naomi Osaka is dealing with NC Courage as a North Carolina Courage and the Miami Pickleball Club. James Harden, Houston Dash and the Houston Dynamo. And they got Giannis as the Milwaukee Brewers and an MLS team. Aaron Rodgers, the Milwaukee Bucks. Lewis Hamilton of the Denver Broncos and the NWSL teams. Actually, you have Angel City, Florida, Bay Football Club, New Jersey, New York, Gotham Football Club, Denver, Kansas City, Current, and Houston Dash. Those are some of the teams. So with that said, I know I said an awful lot here, but we'll start with you, Scott. What are your thoughts about some of these athletes, the way they've gone out there and decided, let's go ahead and stay competitive with these different sports?
It's a good investment for most of these guys. I mean, if they lose money, they could use the write-off, but it's a lot of fun to own some of these teams. I believe that Patrick Mahomes is probably the biggest outside of Tom Brady, who owns a portion of the Las Vegas Raiders, which is another story about whether or not owners should be in the commentary booth. But I have no problem with athletes owning teams.
And Candy?
I think it's a smart investment for athletes. They are part of a sports team, so they know how an organization is run. Now, do they know all the business side of it? No, but I think they learn it. And most of them are a minority or owner, not like the majority owner and have big say. But it's kind of cool because let's face it, these guys their contracts are millions and millions of dollars. And what else should they invest in? Why not invest in? Some of them are investing in the city that they play in too, which is cool. Um, you know, I'd like to see it. Why not?
Marvin?
Yeah, listen, I'm happy to see a new narrative, new facts, better information. I'm happy to see us go from, athletes make this money and spend it and go broke to you see, this new generation obviously paying attention to the times and just seeing opportunities. And because of their celebrity, being afforded opportunities to invest. And it's great to see these guys business minded and thinking big, thinking about actually ownership, thinking about equity. Candy, brings up a point that it's small, but it's relevant and it's something, you know what I'm saying? And it's a start, you know what I mean? So I think it's outstanding. I think it's a great narrative for the NFL as a whole. Nowadays we live in a day where we always want to through social media, get a feel for how people are living and what their day-to-day is, and what do they do, what are their hobbies. Now we live in a world where you could find out people's investments and it's talked about and it's open and it's out there. So yeah, this is all good news, all good stuff to hear. I think Pat Mahomes and LeBron are making the biggest moves. I know LeBron has some money in that Premier League. I think he has a minority but a decent stake. Maybe it's 2%. I heard something like that, but it's good, man. It's good stuff, and I hope that this continues.
George?
Well, the thing that strikes me is diversity. Okay, so when you're an athlete, you just don't want to stick with your sport. Some don't want to do that, and so they're interested in a soccer team or they're interested in a women's WNBA team. Magic Johnson. I mean, Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, you mentioned about, of course, our guy Michael Jordan with NASCAR, and that's a whole nother subject because there's a lawsuit going right now. But it's great to see. It's great to see they're diversifying their portfolio, as a financial advisor might say to us, giving us some advice. But you know what? I think it is great too, especially when Patrick with his own home team, Kansas City Royals. I mean, that's great, and it is diversification. I think is one of the main factors of it. But it's a great topic, Scott. I'm glad you brought it up.
No problem. I got another one that'll follow it. Go ahead, Jacob.
And all they're trying to do is keep up with Marvin's big millions that he has in his bank. So they're trying to keep up with you, man. But the big thing is, remember this part too, and you'll remember this part. It's the one thing I did not get on Caleb Williams for. The one thing he tried to make his the rookie contract into an LLC. So their business minds are smarter than they ever were. That was one of the things I wasn't getting on Caleb for, is his business mind. He does have that. So there's that. But think about this for a second. I was talking to somebody today, and it's from my hometown, and there's a new pickleball area in my city, and they're saying, is that going to kill the tennis area? I said, yep, because pickleball's getting bigger. And when the pickleball is getting bigger, it means that you're seeing all of these athletes investing in their teams. You're seeing all of that. And so that's where I know it's getting bigger. And then you have Patrick Mahomes with his wife. You might have brought that up, but Kansas City.
Right.
In Kansas City and everything. And then the women's soccer team. And the one thing I'm proud of, I'm with Marvin on that. The one thing I'm proud of is that the movie Broke is almost a comedy now, that it could not be made anymore. It's because people are starting to understand. They're going to those consortiums now during this thing, and they're seeing that you need to make your money, that you need to invest your money, and you need to do all that stuff. That we're not going to see them. We might see a few go broke, but it's not going to be the norm anymore. Like before, it used to be 60, 70%, and now it's now it's going to be, I bet you it'll be 15 to 20, by the time 5 years hits, just because so many athletes are learning about money now.
So here are some of the ones that really stand out to me. You mentioned it, Jacob. But you got Patrick Mahomes with the Kansas City Royals. LeBron James actually with the Boston Red Sox and the Pittsburgh Penguins, of course.
That's the Fenway. That's the Fenway group.
Right, the Fenway group, exactly. So, and then you got Kevin Durant, obviously Philadelphia Union, has ties to the area. Myles Garrett actually with the Cleveland Cavaliers. James Harden actually, when he was with the Rockets, invested in the Dash and Houston Dynamo. But how do you like Giannis? He's involved with the Milwaukee Brewers. That's one of the things that really intrigues me about him. And then, of course, you have Aaron Rodgers, the Bucks. So just because they leave Milwaukee and they're not playing there or will eventually Milwaukee, they go ahead and get involved with some of those franchises. That's what
Well,
really intrigues.
Shaq also had 4% into the Kings, and they sold it for $200 million. And I
Right.
do have a question for you, Marvin. I do have a question for you on this. Is like, were there during your time that you played, like in the rookie year and doing everything, were there the same consortiums or any kind of idea about business within the? I mean, as far as during the during the early rookie year, were there any kind of those things during camps and everything about getting yourself into business? Don't spend. Was it during that time also?
Yeah. So typically your agent has that all set up for you. He has an accountant. He'll have a business manager or whatever you want to do, but he'll have that set up for you. Mine did at least. And obviously we had a plan. We started out on a plan. We talked big picture. Had I played so many years. So yeah, the issue is the guys want to really buy into that. You know what I'm saying? Versus wanting to spend that money, get that car, take these trips, and live that life. You know what I'm saying? I genuinely, in my heart, believed after my first year in the NFL, I was going to be a Pro Bowl player within 2 or 3 years, and I probably could have had I stayed away from the Hollywood Hills. But that's another story. But no, they definitely have stuff set up for you, man. The players just have to want to buy in. But now it's cool to be an entrepreneur. It's cool to be an investor. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Jay-Z made this thing cool. He raps about it. These guys rap about it. So yeah, the message and what you're seeing, that whole thing has definitely evolved as a whole. You're right. I think you're gonna see less and less guys having financial issues. But yeah, typically your agent, that's part of the package when they want to sign you. Hey, I have a plan for you. This is what we're gonna do. You're gonna make this much money. You'll play this long. Yada yada yada. So yeah, it was in place back in '99.
So do you believe? So I was going to say this. Do you believe that? I mean, you brought up Jay-Z, but do you believe LeBron is a big reason, or somebody else is a big reason why athletes it is cool to be an entrepreneur? And do you believe? Do you believe? Huh?
1,000%.
Okay. And okay.
1,000%, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I'll tell you. I mean, for me personally, I am a Jay-Z fan, and one of the things I love about his music is just, he started off just talking about, jewelry and women and yada yada, but it evolved, to entrepreneurship and being business minded, and I mean a lot of it. So yeah, that's a part of the culture. A lot of these guys are buying into that rap culture, no doubt about it. And it's just being an entrepreneur and being an investor and having and investing money is the cool thing now versus.
And one more question I was going to ask, and we can go on to the thing. I was going to ask this. Do you think that this is going to be just kind of a niche deal that somebody wears out and then goes back to that? Or do you think this is for good?
No, man.
Because I hope it's for good.
I think this thing moves forward. I think this whole thing is moving forward with this younger culture. There's more information. There's too much information out there now. There's too much data, and it's just they have way more information in ways that we didn't access to it as well. So, no, I think with this younger generation who have elite talent, whether they are artists or athletes, I think they're making better decisions as a whole because that's just part of what the culture is now.
Good, appreciate it.
Okay, well, let's go on to something similar to this. Obviously, I mentioned the teams, and I'll do it again. The celebrities who are invested in the National Women's Soccer League. We're talking about women's sports, which we all know are obviously fledgling, and they're doing real well. But we're talking about Bill. I'll mention the names, and I'll mention the team names again. Billie Jean King, Candace Parker, Matthew Stafford, Lindsey Vaughn, Serena Williams, Andre Iguodala, Brandy Chastain, Kevin Durant, Eli Manning, Sue Bird, Peyton Manning, Patrick and Brittany Mahomes, James Harden, and Oscar De La Hoya. I know I went through that a little quickly, but everybody wants to get that list, just feel free to go back to it and play it again. But maybe I'll go a little slower. But some of the big names, you got Billie Jean King, Matthew Stafford's in there, Eli Manning, Durant. The list goes on. The Mahomes, Harden, De La Hoya, Manning, you get the drill. So again, these are individuals that invested in the National Women's Soccer League. And I'll go over the team names again. You got Angel City, obviously Florida. You have Bay Football Club, New Jersey, New York, Gotham Football Club, Denver, Kansas City, and current Houston Dash. So, all right. So with that said, Scott, what are your thoughts about the fact that the National Women's Soccer League is a great way for a lot of them to go?
I think it's a good way for them to come up with a tax shelter.
Okay.
It's not a moneymaker. I don't see that league making money, and soccer in this country is doing well because of Lionel Messi and a few other players. But I don't think women's soccer professionally is ever going to take off in this country. I think that any investment that they make is gratuitous in nature, and they're looking to say they own part of the team, and they're not really looking for an ROI.
Candy?
I kind of disagree a little bit with you, Scott, because I think what's driving more and more people to play soccer is the concussions, is the health of playing contact football and that. Because I think there's a lot of parents out there that are afraid for their kids' health. And so a lot of them like stray them away from like playing football, but playing soccer more so. Um, I think it's cool that Serena Williams invested in Angel City. The other little tidbit is her daughter, Olympia, also is an investor in that same sports team, which is cool.
Marvin?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of truth in what Scott's saying, and that kind of goes to what I was saying to Jacob earlier. These are opportunities that these players' agents put together for them. You know what I mean? And no doubt it may be a tax shelter, but believe me, you have players who have ambition of being like great owners, of being the next Al Davis or being the next whoever may be. Just because they grew up in that sports world, that sports culture, and that's ultimately ownership is where it's at. So I think it serves two purposes. I don't think there's any less love or any desire from these players, but no, I think with women's soccer, I think I do think it's a growing sport. I think it will continue to grow. I don't know if it's gonna, you see how long it'll take UFC to take off, but maybe it's a little bit different. I don't know that it's gonna happen quick, but in time, I would expect there to be a women's soccer league that is profitable and doing well and has attendance and all that. So it's a matter of time. A lot of the stuff is a long-term play. This isn't necessarily a get-rich deal, as Scott said, but for those athletes who are looking for real ownership and a real piece and a real say of a real team, it's a great long-term play.
I'll say one thing before I turn over to George. Women's sports are actually a good investment. They really, really are. And soccer, we can't lose sight of the fact that the United States women's team has won the World Cup before, as mentioned when I mentioned Brandy Chastain and some of these other women involved. So I wouldn't sell that women's soccer short. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, I agree. When you think about the sports that come to mind for me, women's basketball, women's hockey, and women's soccer. And the soccer one, as you just illustrated, Scott, have been successful. United States world champions, United States Olympic champions. Come on. I mean, if there's one sport that's going to succeed, I am all in favor of the women's soccer because they have a foundation. They have big names, like you mentioned. They have good credentials. They have awards. They have titles, championships, etc. I think that there is a bright future for that. So I don't blame these athletes one bit. I think, in fact, I think it's great that they're looking at getting again into another section, another future investment of their life. The athletes that are investing in women's soccer, they're spot on. I love it.
Jacob?
Well, here's what we have too. The big thing about it is the reason that everybody's getting into these because they see what the reality is as far as the people. It's like you had a 92,000 person people at a volleyball game in Nebraska. You have women's soccer teams that have their own stadiums, not sharing stadiums like it used to be, not sharing little corners of the locker rooms or whatever. Their own. They've got all that now. You've got the publication boardroom getting the top 50 of all the athletes in business, and you've got like Nafisa Collier and Coco Gauff and Serena and all of those in there. You've got all this. People, we got to remember they do have them set up like Marvin just brought up, but they're reading a lot more now. And then remember, there's the internet now. There's not just okay, I gotta go to the library and dig. Oh, I gotta go watch this a little bit. I gotta go watch this. It isn't that anymore. And it's like Will they make the money right away, like Scott Solomon was saying? No, probably not. But it's going to make it quicker than you think. And I'm not going to say, and Candy, I'm not going to say that football by itself is going to be, because right now the NFL is investing $32 million into flag football. So they're going to give other people a chance to go play the game. So it can be either be tackle or flag. Without flag, they're probably dead. But that's not the thing. What you have is probably dead in the next 20 years, NFL. I'm just saying that just because only 3 states have more players playing in the last 10 years, like Texas, like California, and one more.
Okay,
So
let's go on.
So that was just the big thing about that. It's like everybody's digging in now and really paying attention.
Okay, let's go on to basketball. There's a lot of basketball topics. I like when Scott's on because obviously it's a sport we cover anyways. But let's go back to Shaquille O'Neal. Okay, he becomes the Sacramento State men's basketball GM, where his son Shakir plays, to assist in recruiting the NIL brand deals. Shaquille will also focus on the recruitment, marketing, holistic player development, both on and off the court, and has waived his salary and will serve in a volunteer capacity. So, Scott, I'm going to go to you. What are your thoughts about Shaquille O'Neal's involvement with Sacramento State's men's basketball club?
I think he's a shill. I think he's just there for his name, and
Okay.
so he can help recruit dollars to come into the program. He's not really going to do anything. I don't see him working hard. He's probably going to go to a couple meet and greets. He might go see a couple of recruits, but he's not going to really do anything that a GM would do.
Candy?
I agree, Scott. He's in it for a name so that he helps recruit. Because let's face it, he's one of the most recognizable names, most recognizable basketball players. So he's going to recruit guys to come there. He's going to also help with, getting more money for the team and stuff like that to be able to grab more better talent.
Marvin?
It's a win for everybody. Obviously, the school gets his name, his presence, for all the reasons that Scott and Candy just laid out. It's a situation where, listen, it's the NIL era. So having Shaquille O'Neal at the school is great, but if you ain't got no money, these kids have options. You know what I'm saying? So if he can get those alums to commit, if he can get those alums to believe that he wants to be there and his son wants to stay there, then they'll get sponsorships and they'll get alumni money, and like I said, and he'll get a piece of that. So it's good for everybody.
George?
Yeah, I agree. I think that with his name, his presence, which is one of the greatest familiar basketball names we have in the United States right now, of course. And the things that he gets into with Barkley and Ernie and that pregame and postgame and halftime show. They've all created such a great name and a great camaraderie together. But as far as his own personal, I would never say he's just in it for the money. No, he's in it to try to help them out. These guys that are going into things like this, these ventures, they want to, like you said, Marvin, they want to help the NIL situation. They want to help with the young athletes trying to cultivate this new world we're in right now with college sports. And Shaquille is one of the big names, and I've always liked him as a person. I wish him well. I hope he does well. I hope he helps them out.
Jacob?
Well, one of the things is they said he foregoes the salary. There wouldn't be enough salary for him. It would be worth it. So, of course, he'll forego it. He'll get a piece, and like you brought up. But big thing about something like this is you saw it first with Andrew Luck, and you're going to just see more of this type of stuff. I'm not going to say that he's going to do, because I heard that Andrew Luck does a lot of work. But you're not going to see this with Shaq, because he's got probably, last I heard, like 150 to 160 franchises of some type, of stores. He's got that kind of stuff. So he's got all kinds of businesses. But what he can do is it's such a smaller market. It's such a smaller market, smaller place, and he's helping his kid. And it's kind of like Dion when he was helping his kid out and everything like
Right.
that. Will Shaq stay when his kid's gone? Who knows? But I mean, the guy is a good guy, and it's one of those where he's pretty chill, and it's going to help. It really will, and it makes it easier that they don't have to worry about they don't have to worry about the salary, because that's what you think about when you initially think this idea.
Well, I met Shaq many years ago at the Palace of Auburn Hills during the summer when Team USA was getting. He's really a super nice guy. So the fact that he's involved there, whether it's for show or not, it doesn't matter. He's there with his kid. But we mentioned earlier in the show, the guy had part ownership in the Sacramento Kings, a team that once called the Sacramento Queens, but then of course when you own them, you don't call them that no more. So more power to him. I'm really happy for him, and I don't know what kind of an impact, but yeah, you use him for name recognition and a visible eye over there. You have everything to gain, nothing to lose with his presence. You can't hurt anything, that's for sure. All right, let's talk about the team that Scott and I and Marvin are all too familiar with, and that's this. Okay, let's talk about the Sacramento Kings. No, not the Queens, but the Kings. Okay, and that Doug Christie actually became the full-time Kings coach in around April. So here's what you got. Scott, I'm going to ask you first, and we'll just kind of limit it to a few of us because we're on it a lot more so we can move through the program a little quicker. Scott, give me your assessment of what you think the job done for Doug Christie as a full-time Kings coach.
He really can't be evaluated fairly because he doesn't have a lot of talent or a lot of chemistry to work with. He's got a couple of individual players who are capable of filling up the box score every night, but they really don't play well as a team. And they all know that they're being rented. They're going to be out of there by. I heard today Scott Perry's taking phone calls from everyone in the league. The only one that's untouchable is Nick Clifford and Keegan Murray. The rest of them are going to be on the trading block.
Marvin?
I agree with Scott. I mean, at this point in the season, when you look at what they're dealing with and what he inherited, I don't think this is on him. I don't think you're seeing a Doug Christie team per se. I mean, you could talk about effort and all that stuff, but give him an opportunity to build his roster, give him an opportunity to get the players in that represent his style of play, and then we can have that conversation. Right now, he's just dead man walking.
Yeah, he really does. All right, and Scott mentioned Keegan Murray. Let me throw another little fact out there as well. We'll continue all their topics, but because of the fact that Marvin and I and Scott are working a little bit closer on this, that's why I'm just rolling this one out a little bit. Christie obviously has the task of developing forward Keegan Murray, who has signed a 5-year, $140 million rookie extension deal. Scott, how do you like the deal for Murray as well as the Kings?
Well, it's a great deal for Murray. It's not such a great deal for the Kings because they're saddled with the contract and they're going to only get younger through the draft. So they're going to have a guy making $140 million and then they're going to have guys making rookie wage scale. I like Keegan Murray as a player, but I definitely wouldn't say he's untouchable. But his contract is going to be hard to deal.
Yeah, you have to have a guy or two to build around, and obviously they feel that by giving him this money, they can build around Marvin.
Yeah, I mean, this team at this point, I think they have 6-7 wins, in the season. They have to figure out, who their future is, and obviously they've identified a guy. Like Scott said, I don't think anybody's untouchable. I think when you're as bad as they are, I think everybody's on the table. But it's obvious that they feel that he's somebody to build on and move forward with. So that identifies some type of plan. And I'm sure Christie has something to say about that as well.
Okay, now we can go back to a topic that everybody can talk about. And we'll talk about the host cities for future Final Fours. Are any of these on anybody's bucket list? You want to add something to that, Jacob?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, the one thing about it, Marvin, is the Kings a couple of different times in our eras have tried to come back from being really, really bad. We know it about 25 years ago and then a couple of years ago of doing that. But they really have had a kind of a poor history. Now, what you're seeing here is it's a 6-18 team. And Doug Christie's not going to get that kind of blame yet. But there's the other part of this. There's a situation where these teams are moving fast. How fast did it take for Daniel to win in Oklahoma City? Like 5 years. It doesn't take long. Indiana was in Game 7 last year, the NBA Finals. Now they've gotten 6 wins themselves. I mean, it's telling you this. Everything moves so much faster. You can't just climb a ladder little by little because you have to take that chance right away. So he's probably got a year. And then if he doesn't improve, they're probably going to let it go just because everything moves so fast now.
All I'll say is they made a mistake by letting Mike Brown go. I don't care what anybody says. Mike Brown had the team going in the right direction. You let the guy go, and all of a sudden they're back to losing. That's for sure. So now let's go ahead and talk about the future sites of Final Fours. Starting in 2026, you have Indianapolis. 27, you have Detroit, George. I don't know if you're going back to another one or not, but we'll see. 2028, you have Las Vegas. 2029, you have Indianapolis. 2030, North Texas, meaning Dallas. And 2031 in Atlanta. Okay, well, I don't know. My partner, Scott, do you have any ideas of credentialing us for any of these? Or do you have any on the bucket list that you want us to hit?
I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow.
You don't even know where you're going tomorrow. Okay.
I don't know. The Final Four has never really been it for me. It's not a
Okay.
bucket list item for me. I enjoy college basketball. I enjoy the Final Four, but there are other trips I'd rather take than go to the Final Four. I definitely don't need to go to Detroit. Indianapolis I've been to. It's a great city, great steakhouse. Go to St. Elmo's, and that's where they have the combine every year, the NFL combine. But it's not really a bucket list item for me.
All right, Candy. Well, I know I have to get it out. I'm getting into her head a little bit, see where she's got us penciling. You know where the cities are and which ones we could get to. What do you think, Candace? You already conquered a women's Final Four, by the way.
I've done a women's Final Four and I've done a Frozen Four, but I've never done a regular.
And meanwhile, I can say that I went to a Final Four in New Orleans when Michael Jordan was there, but I bought a ticket to go there. So I've been there, but I'd like to go there in an official capacity. Go ahead, Candy.
So as far as I've been to Detroit, I've been to Indy. Let's see. I mean, I could see Texas. I could see Texas as one of them. And then what else did you put Vegas on there? Was that on there?
Yeah, Vegas is on.
Yeah, 2028.
Yeah.
I could see that or Texas.
All right. Well, I'll have to stay with her on them because obviously I'm not going by myself. So you got my opinion. So go ahead, Marvin. I've been to Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz, so I guess I could take that one off the list. But go ahead, Marvin.
Yeah, I mean, I just loving the West Coast the way I do. I would have to say Vegas without question. Vegas Final Four. I've never been to a Final Four before. Basketball is my second sport, but I do love college basketball, and the Final Four is elite competition. So you get a chance to see the 4 best teams in the country go at it in Sin City. I'd love that.
What about you, George? You obviously went to the one in Detroit, but any other ones that you could probably go?
Yeah, I mean, Detroit is excited to host next year, a year from this March in 2027. I would probably opt for the Vegas one. I'll tell you why, because it's such a city of great excitement and the city by the nightlife and everything else going on there. That would be the one for me, Scott, would be try to get to the one in Las Vegas. I'm sure they'll do a terrific job putting it on.
All right. What about you, Jacob?
Well, Atlanta would be without saying. I'd be 20 minutes, but it feels like this is the longest stretch between Final Fours with Atlanta. I feel like it's there all the time. But since it's there 2031, I got a funny thing. I have to say Indianapolis because as much as I've been to the Midwest as I've been to, I've never been to Indianapolis. So it'd be kind of cool. You know what I mean? I would like to be able to get, and of course, like Marvin said, Las Vegas would be cool. You have all of those. Detroit, I mean, that goes without saying with Michigan, but just over. See, the thing is, we're going to see such changes now in the Final Four because we're probably going to see 76 teams, 90 teams, whatever. They keep trying to build the tournament up, so we're probably going to be there longer. So we have to figure that out.
Okay, there you go. Well, I've been to New Orleans over the Caesars Superdome, but I could see I'd like to go to Vegas. All right, let's talk about, fortunately, a couple recent passings that we lost in basketball. We'll start off with the legendary Lenny Wilkens, who died at the age of 88, 1937 to 2025. He's a basketball Hall of Famer. He's a nine-time All-Star across 15 NBA seasons, went on to be one of the winningest coaches in NBA history. He coached for the Supersonics, an actual NBA championship. He also coached the Trailblazers, the Cavaliers, the Hawks, the Raptors, and the Knicks. So, what are your thoughts, Scott, about the passing of Lenny Wilkens?
Well, I was sorry to hear that when I heard about it. Lenny was a nice guy. I had met him on several different occasions. He was a tremendous coach, tremendous player. I'm old enough to remember when he played, nonetheless when he coached. But he was also part of the U.S. Olympic team, and he'll be missed. He was an all around good guy.
Candy?
One of the things I will say is he was inducted 3 times into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. First in '89 as a player, as a coach in '98, and in 2010 as part of the 1992 U.S. United States Olympic Dream Team, for which he was an assistant coach. That's pretty cool. That's pretty special. Not many people can say that. So he was a great basketball mind, player, and coach. So it was a great loss.
Marvin?
Yeah, I was unaware of all his accolades as a player. I didn't know he had that kind of career as a player. I just knew him as a coach. So, that just tells you a little bit my age. But nah, man, I recall seeing him on the sidelines and, seemed like a positive dude. And, you hate to hear a sports legend go down.
George?
Yeah, Lenny Wilkens is just an amazing man. I've had the privilege of seeing him once or twice when he came into town here and played the Pistons. To me, he's just going to be remembered for so many different things, but his community impact, I think, he's got a foundation that helps the future stars, the leaders, and it also has healthcare as one of its pillars. And I think that his legacy will continue to live on through this organization that he founded, and he now has others running it, obviously, after his passing. But long life, 88 years, and the man was really truly a basketball lifer, no question about it. He's going to be missed.
Jacob?
Every time I watch Lenny Wilkens over the years, I've just talked about this over the last few years I've been here in Atlanta. Every time you watch him, listen to him talk, watch him move, watch him how he dresses, it reminds me of a buddy of mine I have here in Atlanta named Gentleman Jim McFarland. They've got that voice, the movement, the everything that is just like an old jazz club. You know what I mean? And it's just like, and then you always believe that there's no way they could die because how could their heart run out? They have like a 38 heart rate, 40 heart rate. They don't get stressed. It doesn't ever look like they get stressed. You know what I mean? It's like those types. They're just cool as the other side of the pillow, as Stu Scott would say. And it's tough to see this, but it just kind of shows that all our times run out when the good Lord says go. You know what I mean? So it's like, just enjoy it while we have it.
Okay. Well, Scott, we're going to have you for one more basketball segment, then you can take off. And this one's going to be about this. Well, actually, Paul George, and then I want to talk about Eldon Campbell. Then you can go if you don't mind. Okay. We also lost Eldon Campbell recently. Remember the 2004 Detroit Pistons championship team, also played 15 seasons. What are your thoughts about Eldon Campbell?
Well, it's always a shame when somebody passes away so young. He went way before his time. I think he was a remarkable player. He was a champion, and he brought the game to the fans. He always incorporated the fans into what he was doing after the games or outside of the arena. He was always good signing autographs and hooping it up with the kids. He was a genuine good guy. I don't know him as well as I know Lenny Wilkens, but Eldon Campbell has a very, very solid reputation, especially in the Los Angeles community.
Okay, I'll go around the horn on this top. One more topic after this, and then I know you have to work on Cyril Moore. No problem. Looking forward to reading that. So, Candy, your thoughts about Eldon Campbell?
He played college for the Clemson Tigers. He earned an honorable All-American honors as a senior in 1990. He was selected by the Lakers in the first round of the 1990 NBA draft with the 27th pick. He actually scored 10,805 points. He has 6,116 rebounds. What a career he played with numerous, obviously, the Lakers, the Hornets, the Charlotte Hornets, and the New Orleans Hornets, the Seattle Supersonics, Detroit Pistons, New Jersey Nets, and Detroit Pistons. And yes, he did win an NBA championship with the Detroit Pistons back in 2004. So kudos to him. He spent a long time in the NBA in basketball. Unfortunately, his untimely death.
Hey, Scott, a quick question for you. Have you ever done much work with Florida International University? Much?
I covered a few of their baseball games, and that's about the extent of it.
All right, well, that's fine. Just a little FYI. They're obviously going to be playing in a bowl game against University of Texas San Antonio on December 26th. Now, that's not the topic. Okay, we'll go around the horn for this one, and then we have one last topic on Paul George. Since you're the NBA guy, I would really appreciate that as well. All right, go ahead. Marvin, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, listen, again, the Lakers are one of my teams. I recall Eldon when he played for the Lakers. Listen, this guy, I think he still has records at Clemson, scoring or rebounding. And this guy played, 35 years ago. So definitely high impact player. Sad to see him go so young.
George?
Yeah, and as you mentioned, a member of the Detroit Pistons and the championship team that he won with guys like Isaiah Thomas and Bill Laimbeer here in Detroit. He was a really, really great role player. I mean, the Pistons used him effectively. He was ACC. What a great college career he had. And it's just a shame, I said, at 57 years old and suffered from a medical emergency while he was out fishing. Just very heartbreaking news for the basketball world, but we'll always remember him. Yep.
Jacob?
I believe it was a heart attack while he was fishing, and that is and I think he drowned. That's the unfortunate part, it's a rough part. But, something I've watched him many of the years, it's like he came in like about a couple of years after, Kareem retired, 91. And he was what he was, it was like I saw him go off the bench. I saw him go to the starting places and everything like that. He was, you know what he was? He was in his prime, 14, 15 points, 13 points a game, 7, 8 rebounds. And if I could say what the best coach would be that would be honest with a player that wants to go to the NBA is like, go look for that kind of career, 14, 15 years, that kind of career. And then anything else would be bonus. Don't say that you stop there, but anything else would be an absolute bonus because that's a great career that you'd have. You keep yourself around longer. You keep yourself around teams. You keep everything. He had a great career in that statement. I mean, nice, good, solid career. Not Hall of Fame, but, and there's that. And I hate that happened like that because they said he didn't seem like he had any kind of health problems. So it just says that it goes just like that.
So, Scott, a couple quick questions for you. Number one, John Stockton thinks that the NIL is ruining the game of basketball. He's a graduate of Gonzaga. Do you agree or disagree?
The NIL, I believe, is ruining college athletics as we know it. Not just college basketball. I think it's ruining college football. It's basically a professional sport now.
Okay, and then the second question is just so you know that Paul George is the only player left from the 2010 non-NBA draft. Okay, just so you know, he's the only one. Can you get that? It's hard to believe of the 2010 NBA draft. So as I dive deeper into the topic, okay, let's revisit a trade and then you can take off. Okay, the Clippers obviously received Paul George, but Jets, get this, the Thunder's return on investment was Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, Trey Mann, who's a 2021 NBA number 2021 number 18 pick. Jalen Williams, 2022 number 12 pick. Dylan Jones, 2024 number 26 pick. And the Clippers are also getting a 2026 first round pick. And Clippers also, there's a 2027 first round swap. Scott, is this one of the biggest fleece jobs you've ever seen with the Paul George situation?
I'm surprised they didn't call the police afterwards. That was highway robbery. That was theft. I don't know who put that deal together, but it was not a very good deal.
Okay, well, the 2010 draft, if he's the only one left in it, I can only imagine how deep or deepless it was. All right, Scott, why don't you let everybody know how you get a hold of it? Obviously, we work together a lot. Put it all out there for us, and then you can work on the Moore story. Thanks for hanging out with us on the NBA stuff, and we'll get to football after a station break. Go ahead, Scott.
Check out the JagsRoundtable.com, NetsRoundtable.com, and KingsRoundtable.com for the latest news on those three teams: the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Sacramento Kings, and the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, and yours truly, obviously, is the executive producer and broadcaster for those respective websites. So, all right, Scott, I want to thank you very much for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange. I love your NBA background, and it's something that we look forward to working with a lot more as you continue to make regular appearances on the Sports Exchange. Thank you very much, Scott, for being on, and I'll talk to you soon enough, okay?
I'm glad to do it. Boys, take care. Candy,
All
right, Scott.
Thanks.
Take care, Scott. Have a good night.
Have a good one, Scott.
All right, so let's go back to these other topics real quick. Candy, your assessments of the Paul George trade and the fact he's the only one left.
Kind of crazy. I mean, to think about it, that he was the only one from the 2010, which is 15 years in the league. That's quite a long time for a career, to, even for basketball.
Jacob?
Yeah, that really is. It's like, I mean, you said 15 years, right, Candy?
Yeah, because 2010 to now is 15. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like going on 60. But you want to know the thing is, he's had that career despite that broken leg. So it's like a lot of them, it would have affected their career and stuff. But we also have a lot better physical training and everything right now, too. So good for him. You know what I mean?
Marvin?
Yeah, no doubt. Sports science, the advancements there have helped this guy out. But I mean, 15 years, man, that's a lot of years, you know what I'm saying? And these guys are making a lot of money early. We had that conversation. Some of these guys are making good decisions, some aren't. But, I don't think everybody has the passion to play that long. I don't, or even the discipline to play that long. So for the discipline portion, kudos to him. I feel like he's always hurt, though,
Yeah, it does seem like that. George?
Yeah, he's an Olympic champion, too. You guys might remember 2016 in Rio, the United States basketball team. He was a member of that. 9-time NBA All-Star. I mean, this guy has had a fantastic career, but there's always more to do. The trade, there was a lot of fleecing that went on with that trade. I have to agree with that, Scott.
Well, the only thing I'll say about the trade, this reminds me of Jimmy Johnson, Herschel Walker, and what they did there. This isn't a fleece job with Jerry Jones, Jimmy Johnson, and Herschel Walker. Tell me what one is. That's just unbelievable. I'm not downplaying the significance of his career. It's been really good, like it's been outlined. And in fact, he's played 15 years in 2010, not bad. But let's not kid ourselves. There's a big reason why the Oklahoma City Thunder they look like they're a dynasty waiting to happen, that's for sure. Now, back to the other question that I presented. Scott, we'll go to a station break and continue the flow. And that's this, okay? John Stockton thinks the NIL is ruining the game of basketball. He's a graduate of Gonzaga. Candy, do you agree or disagree?
I think, I don't think NIL is ruining it. I think transfer portals are ruining it. I think NIL is just a form of allowing the athletes to get paid finally. We've all talked how NC2A has been making lots of money for years and years and years, and now it's the benefits can be sought after by the athletes, which I think is a good thing.
All right, Marvin.
You know something? I have a lot of things to say about John Stockton in particular, being the one to say that giving these boys the money is a problem. Um, I think the bigger issue. What's the problem? That's what I don't understand. What is the problem? I think Candy's right. The bigger issue that real fans have, well, one of the issues is that you can commit to a school and you can leave that school in a year. Whereas guys like me, diehards like me, whoever your school is, you don't do that. We don't have that mentality. You chose to go to this school, you go to that school, and that's it. That's how you do that. So I think not having guardrails on that really pissed a lot of people off, and I can understand that completely. In this economy, I think it's tough to hear that these young boys out here making this money, making so much money. People fail to realize that it's the elite players of in high school that go and in college that are even make it possible for these schools to have these big contracts and have this kind of interest. So, I think Brett Kavanaugh was absolutely dead right when he laughed at the NC2A and said, you guys essentially have created a business within a school, but it's still a business. And these are your laborers. You have to pay them. I don't know why, this entrepreneur America will live and people can't understand that. You know what I mean? The NC2A and college universities have been getting over on these kids for years. Okay, for years, making tons of money, building all kinds of things on campus, giving people all kind of crazy salaries, more than just football. Nothing makes more money on campus than a college football team. It is, and that's the business that these schools are in, period. You know what I'm saying? So giving these kids 20% plus an NIL package, I don't, what's that hurting? It hurts people's feelings who are jealous, who don't like to see these young boys get money. And that's the bottom line. This comes down to just jealousy, in my opinion. And, it's in any other scenario where you have young people who are talented, they get paid. Kids at Disney, musicians, all kind of artists. Why is there no argument, to not pay these kids? So, it's insane. Get used to it. Again, if you're a traditionalist, you have this idea in your head that if you're a purist, you think that you should do it just for the love of the sport. Well, they love the sport. That's not even they do love the sport, but they can love the sport and get a little piece, get a little taste of the bigger money that they generate. So what is it ruining?
Yeah, again, I'll reiterate. You and Kennedy are right. The transfer portal is more of a problem than NIL. It really, really is. Anybody can just get out anytime they want. I can tell you right now, and I'm not talking about it tonight because we have too many things to get to. Troy Aikman has had enough after one time with the UCLA thing, but that's something that will rattle Mel Farr about. Okay, not tonight. Okay, yeah. George.
Yeah, I agree. The portal itself is the one that really is agonizing. I think that the athletes have been waiting a long time for this to happen, and then the courts helped them obviously with that decision. So the NIL is here to stay. Is it all 100% correct? No, but I'm a little disappointed in Stockton's comments, to be honest with you. He really has to take a total look at the total picture. And like Marvin said, some of these young men and women, they've been, under the guidance, if you will, of great athleticism and drawing in hundreds and thousands of fans, to see them play. And then they get nothing in return. So the day was coming. It has come. But I think more and more the transfer portal is disturbing to me, and the movement around that some of them are doing, especially in basketball and football.
Okay, very good.
And to add to George's point, because there are people who say, well, they get a scholarship, they get an education. Let me tell you something. The kids themselves, their talent, when you look at the balance of this value, the scholarship that's $100,000 versus the $8 to $10 million that school's going to make on that kid in 4 to 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, who's really getting a better deal here? So listen, they have to change the benefit package because the value of the kid, you realize, is much greater than we want to admit. So yeah, there you go. Yeah.
All right, we're going to go to our first non-sports topic of the night. After Jacob gets his 2 cents, okay? Because once I see that figure up, I got to go to JC.
Yeah, hey Marvin, I want to bring this. Let me tell you where you weren't around for the pundit era with mine. I had 4 years of it, and the Scott was. We talked about this religiously with NIL and everything. We brought this thing like crazy. Let me tell you where the guys like John Stockton and Troy Aikman and all of them are the most jealous. And it's not really the money, because money wasn't going to be around then. They are jealous of the money now, but let me tell you where they're jealous is the fact that there was no democracy with the democracy, if you will, with the coaches and players. There was no working with them. There was screaming, hollering, all kinds of ridiculous, I'm going to say verbal assault, all kinds of everything, especially from a Bob Knight, especially from everything. And you took 4 years of it. A lot of kids, mind you, could take it and they just kind of roll out their back and became lawyers and everything. But there's some that have a PTSD to this day. So let me say this. Troy Aikman left Oklahoma for UCLA. So you can't be able to say that kind of thing. But when the jealousy comes from these players, when they had all of these coaches and everything like that, and it was like I said, it was no democracy. That was the word. You couldn't get any of your ideas in, couldn't get anything. The thing about it now is these players could get a word in. They could come up with a play. They could do all that stuff. And if you don't listen to them, they can leave. And there's where the thing is, the NCAA put, I said this on pundits so many times over the years, the NCAA put it on themselves. When you have a Rick Majerus that you sanction for giving a kid a dinner for when they lost their mom or dad, forget which, when with any of them, you can't even buy a cup of noodles because it's a NCAA, against the NCAA rules, all that stuff. You wonder why NIL is so out of control.
Couldn't even work.
They put it on, huh?
You couldn't even work. You couldn't even work.
Yeah.
You couldn't have a job.
You get this certain amount, and it's like there's the NCAA put. I've said this for 4 years on this subject many times. NCAA put this on themselves.
100%. They were slow. They were way too slow, dragging their feet. They listen. This conversation was being had in the 80s, man, and then the O'Bannons blew it up in the 90s.
95.
Yeah, then the 90s. Yeah, then the O'Bannons in the 90s. But the reality is, we knew this day was coming, and it happened all at once. That's what happened. Everything happened at once with NIL and transfer portal. And these football purists they lost it, man, and they're losing it, and they hate seeing these boys get that money. And
you're right with money, but what they don't have is power. They're so jealous of the idea that these players could be able to kind of, whether it's in football or basketball, they have the idea that they can make their own decisions on the court. They can be able to catch any of that kind of deal. And I mean, Tom Izzo, as much as he screams and hollers, he doesn't go too far.
Yeah.
They know the whole thing. So there's the issue is they're jealous, not necessarily of the money, but of they don't have the power like that. They're
gonna have a CBA in place. I think that's coming. They're gonna unionize. I mean, this is going to evolve even further. But yeah, change is coming.
All right, well, stay tuned. We have one non-sports topic going into the break, and this is one I know Marvin really like. But no, it isn't Charlie Kirk.
Charlie, you got me with that one. Hey, Scott, you got me with that one, man.
Yeah,
you got me with that. I wasn't expecting that. Till this day, I'm still kind of.
Yeah, the first time, you still survived. But this one's not bad either, though, Marvin. I'm telling you. Non-sports topic of the way. Americans at tourism in Cuba can be fined for up to $250,000, $250,000 up to new measures. Get this. Signed by President Donald Trump on July 1st, 2025. All right, not Charlie Kirk, but Donald Trump, $250,000. What do you think, Marvin?
No. If an American goes to Cuba, they get fined $250,000. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it could be up to $250,000.
This is what Trump wants to do. Listen,
yeah,
this is what of those who voted. This is what they wanted. I don't know what to say. I know Miami just got a Democratic mayor for the first time in 30 years. That says something. I lived down there for 15 years, and that says a lot. So listen, Trump, if there's anything, as crazy as this may sound, if there's anything about Trump that I respect, is he don't care. He'll do what he wants to do, and regardless of the facts, the numbers, the feelings, the people, he don't care. He would do him. That could be a great trait if you have the right mindset and right energy. But man, I don't know what to say about that. Trent, that guy. I don't listen. This is a family show, so
well, that's okay. I haven't given you something this hard in a while, so I thought $250,000. I'll tell you what. I think I could find other destinations besides Cuba. And if I want to go to Cuba that bad, Marvin, you know what I really do? I'll go to Little Havana near the Marlins, and that's the closest thing to
You
it.
damn right. Listen, you travel through Miami, and this is America has so many different cultures and subcultures, but you would travel through Miami and not think you're in America. You know what I'm saying? That's how Cuban it is in regards to the culture and just the density and all that. And it's great. I think it's great to have these kind of places in America. But no, man, it's out of this world insane. What is this guy doing?
Well, we know it's a family show, but all we're talking about, we're not using any expletives. So we're just saying the president says you can go there, you can just write a check for 250 grand or up too. That's all.
That's what's on his mind. That's what's on his mind. You know what I'm saying? You know how Cuban Americans feel about that in Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's insane. So, well, you know how they feel because they voted for a Democratic mayor. So it's typical Donald Trump, just doing his own thing, on his own vibe, lack of awareness, and just doing him.
That's okay. Got to mention, we talked about Charlie Kirk. You're getting off easy with Donald Trump in Cuba.
I agree.
J.F. Kennedy had it way worse than he did when he had to deal with the Cuban Missile Crisis. All we're saying is he's just saying, you want to pay 250 grand? No problem. Go down there. Yeah, that's all. Pretty much. Keep it simple, stupid. All right, George, I know that how political you are, but Marvin, you handled that as well as you could handle that topic. And I had to throw something a little bit more challenging. It does get a little bit easier for the next 2 or 3 I got, okay? Because I haven't used a lot of abundance ones, but I want to get this in before the break. Go ahead, George.
Well, like a lot of things, they're going to end up in the courts. I mean, he says a lot of things that signed a lot of proclamations and executive orders and all that, but so many of them are being challenged in the court system. That's one that's, I think, a little bit too wild and too crazy for me. Yeah, to be able to have a fine levied on you or pay $250,000 ahead of time if you want to go visit. Come on, I don't like it. I don't think it's going to stick, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
That's okay. No problem, George. Nobody said you had to hit long with it. I always like to hear Jacob's response.
I wanted you to go there, George. I wanted to hear.
I know you're hitting, Marvin.
I can't imagine there being many more baseball games being played there anymore either, Candy.
So one part of it that you guys haven't mentioned is Cuba is actually on the Department of Treasury's Office of Foreign Asset Control. They're considered an OFAC country, which means that if you did travel to them, none of your debit cards would work. None of your credit cards will work. You actually have to have cash because none of those items will work in Cuba. And that's been for years. That's not just a Donald Trump thing. That's for years. Now, the Department of Treasury has issued general licenses for 12 categories of travel. So individuals who meet the regulatory conditions of general license that they seek to travel under do not have to apply because there's an actual additional license you need to apply from OFAC to travel to Cuba. The 12 categories are official family visits. So if you have family there, official business of the U.S. government, if you're a part of the foreign government, certain intergovernmental organizations, journalistic activity, professional research and professional meetings, educational activities, religious activities, public performances, clinics, workshops, athletic and other competitions and exhibitions, support of the Cuban. So what I'm saying is that there's more to it than just Trump saying this. I mean, it is not a country that we are friendly with, period.
You think? Okay, good stuff. All those facts for me to say, you think. All right, Jacob, I had to wait.
All right. Here's one thing. There's one thing, Marvin. You brought this part up, okay? Marvin and George, you brought this part up about him with Cuba. Thing about it is the fact that this is revenge on Obama because Obama did open Cuba up. And he's got to have his usual revenge. He left it with Rosie O'Donnell, all that stuff. But here's what I would try to tell everyone that's in his cabinet and all that kind of stuff. Because he obviously met with Mamdani, so he'll meet with people. If I was to have this whole thing, I would try to convince him. First thing, you have to tell him he has great hair. Tell him he has great hair. He will be all for that. And then you got to tell him how great his suit is, even though he's got one suit. You got to tell him all this stuff and then get into his mind. And then once he is charmed, tell him things like, Don't kill the money in Los Angeles for the train. Build it yourself if you're a builder. Don't kill Cuba. Say, I opened Cuba's the greatest of the thing in the whole wide world. I did Cuba. Cuba's the greatest. Do those things, and he would. And he probably listened because it does with his ego, and it means charming him. But people don't think of this because they're in the middle of all this rage right now. So here's the thing. To convince him that he's making all of these decisions, he probably would listen.
All right, with that said, you know what, Candy, we'll go to a station break, and then we're going to talk about our feature topic of the night, which happens to be the Indiana Hoosiers, and we have a few more non-sports that are certainly a lot later than this one. Go ahead, Candy.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, and the foreword was written by another panelist, Mr. George Eichhorn. This book talks about Scott's 40-plus years in the media business and how it has evolved. If you know anybody that is aspiring young writer or young broadcaster, this would be a great gift idea for the holidays that are coming up. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you want to advertise or you want to sponsor a show, or maybe you want to be a guest panelist on the show, please email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. And last but not least, if you see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to us. What are you really waiting for? Come on, just do it. Click like us, share us with all your friends and family, and then turn on your notifications. You're notified every time we go live. We have some great programming this week. Monday nights is baseball night. Tuesday nights is football. Wednesday nights here on Sports Exchange. You never know what Scott's got up his bag of tricks, so tune in to find out. Thursday nights is sports wrap, normally hockey, and then come over to the country club side of things and watch us on Fire Up. And then Saturday mornings, our newfound great morning for broadcasts. We do football. You can always, the best part of it is you get to watch Marvin and Melfar Jr. go at it back and forth. These guys are great, so don't miss it. And then we talk baseball afterwards. So tune in to find out more.
Candy, we don't go back and forth. He's pummeled. He's depressed.
Yeah, I know you do. You guys are a boxing match.
I just beat on him like a Trojan should. Okay.
Now, why do you think I created a group chat with the four of us so you guys can pick it up and do it some more?
Where did Far go to school?
What's
Far?
that?
His dad?
Where did he go to school? Huh?
He went to that
UCLA.
school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's one of those.
UCLA matchup.
He's one of those people. Yeah.
And you know, yeah.
So
But no, Scott, I don't go at him in a group chat because I want to give him a little life.
No, no, I never
You
expected you to do that.
want to keep him alive, Scott.
No,
You don't want to.
No, that quick chat is nothing more than an opportunity to let you guys know what's on tap. I like to see it on the air while you two go after each other.
Scott, I'm afraid he may quit. I don't want to go at him too hard. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
No,
listen, I could turn it up. This is a family show, Scott.
He's getting old.
Marvin, nobody knows better than you, my brother. All I can tell you is that chat was only created to let everybody know what's going on, and once that live button goes on, then it's time for you to go at it with them, and I love watching it. George, I'll tell you, if you ever get on that show, you won't lose your voice on it. It's a Marvin and Mel show. Candy and I get to sit back and moderate. She produces and watch these two go at it. I just make sure the topics are on point. It's a great entertainment if I ever saw one.
Yeah.
We started out with a UCLA, USC, and all of a sudden it got interesting last week, and now it's going to get more interesting as I stack the deck with more controversy. With that said, let's go to our featured topic of the night. Obviously, the Indiana Hoosiers, the team to beat in the college football playoffs. I know they suffered a major injury. I don't have that right in front of me, but I know that the guy got hurt during a team celebration. He's one of their leading tacklers. But let's talk about how all of this really got going. I wonder what ESPN is thinking right now after throwing shade at Indiana for not beating good teams. Get this, back in September, The Hoosiers at that time were ranked 19th. In September, they thrashed Illinois, which at that time was 3-1, and they clobbered them 63-10. No, Bobby Knight isn't walking in the building. The Hoosiers are currently 13 wins and no losses, and that isn't even interesting. Consider this: going into the Ohio State game, they were 0 for 32, dating back to 1988. So here, I'm going to put a couple of facts together. Let's relate to the Michigan Wolverines. When the Michigan Wolverines played Ohio State, it was 2,187 days since OSU beat Michigan. Well, OSU snapped that streak. But guess what? They lost to Indiana in the Big Ten championship game, 13-10. Their last win, of course, against obviously Ohio State was 1988. Well, Jacob, you're obviously a big Midwestern guy. What are your thoughts about the fact that ESPN really got Indiana a bit motivated here?
ESPN is where? The East Coast. I mean, you get the other side and go to the West Coast. The coasts are arrogant. As much as they say, I'm going to say it, Marvin, a lot of them are arrogant. They think it's flyover state. You're talking to a Quincy, Illinois. I'm never going to believe that. I drive through all these areas. I know better. But the thing about Indiana is I'm not going to say they're going to win. I said they have a good chance. And the reason being is Signetti has a team that Signetti has a team that is just ridiculously disciplined for weeks and weeks and weeks of the time. Ridiculously. They don't make any mistakes that kill them. And you brought up Illinois beating Illinois 63-10, just wiping them out. Here's another thing. They played Penn State. Penn State was, all kinds of chaos. Penn State played the game of their life, and they came back and won the thing. That's what happens when you don't make mistakes on your own. Is you're going to have those games where there's a team that plays their heart out, and you have to do something like this. It's any teams that have any kind of penalty problems, any kind of discipline problems, they don't win that game. So you have that whatsoever. Yeah, I do believe they have one heck of a chance, even with Georgia being there. And Georgia and Kirby has his own well-coached team in itself. But I mean, I believe there's 12 teams right now. I believe there's 8 guarantees that they win. The other ones we have to see, but their discipline is tremendous. So I do believe in Indiana.
Candy, well, I got to tell you, Candy, though, was born in Indiana. She knows I needle her on this. Although she's a Wisconsin girl, she was born in Indiana, and that night she was rooting for the Hoosiers to beat Ohio State. And she was a Hoosier girl, really rooting for a Hoosier. Okay, go from there.
So we know Indiana is a basketball school. We think of, when you mention Indiana Hoosiers, you think of Bobby Knight, you think of basketball. You don't think of football, but Curt Signetti is changing that narrative, and he's changing it quickly. Yes, maybe they didn't have the biggest wins this year. Maybe they don't have the most notable wins, but they beat Oregon at Oregon 30-20. So they beat them by more than a touchdown at Oregon's home. And yes, they beat some by quite a bit. But what Curt Signetti has been able to do and turn that program around and make it relevant and make all of us talk about him. I mean, look what he's done. He's taken a program that nobody talked about, and now we're all talking about it. Kudos to him. Since I really don't have a horse in this race, go Indiana, beat everybody.
Very good. Marvin?
First time I saw that I really saw them play this year was against Ohio State, and I was thoroughly impressed. The way they played up front, their size, these guys were tough. They were pushing, they were playing with and pushing around Ohio State, and it really blew my mind. And we're talking about the greatest coaching turnaround probably in history in a 1 to 2 year period. We haven't seen this, and in the NIL era. So, what does this mean? I mean, Curt Signetti right now he's outpacing Pete Carroll and Nick Saban. Okay. Right. No championship yet, But what was Pete Carroll in year one? 6-6. What was Nick Saban in year one? You know, a little bit, maybe a game better than that. So this guy is doing something. He's the real deal. He is the secret sauce. When you look at what he did at JMU and what he's doing out in Indiana, and the way he beat Ohio State, their quarterback Mendoza is the real deal. This kid is the real deal. I've heard about him all year. I've seen, I watch plays and clips and all that, but that doesn't tell me the whole story. I don't pull out into that. I watched this game. This kid is tough. This kid is accurate. He's athletic in ways that we're not talking about. Now I feel much better when I keep hearing that my Jets may draft this kid. He looked real good. The Indiana Hoosiers are the real deal, even though I do think them Oregon Ducks is the team people sleeping on.
Okay, George, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Number one, okay, what were your thoughts when the obviously 2,187 days were none after Ohio State ended up beating Michigan and Sharon Moore? And we're not going to get into the Sharon Moore thing there. Give me your thoughts about the fact that Ohio State finally beat Michigan. But then the second part of that question is, did Ohio State take Indiana lightly the following week? First question, and then you can answer the second. Because we've all talked about Ohio State and Michigan, but you haven't had an opportunity because you don't get on many football shows.
Well, I appreciate that. I think that it did not come as a surprise to me. I knew this was not a game that the U of M Wolverines were probably going to win. And it was just because the momentum had swung so much to the Buckeyes this season. And it's the perfect record that they had going into that game. And I know it was a home game for Michigan, but that didn't seem to matter. And say what you want about Matt Patricia, but that was another angle. He did a hell of a job this year as a coordinator for the Buckeyes. I really think that was the game. And see what you got then, Scott. You got that game right afterwards, a week later, and your Big Ten championship game. And I do tend to think that they may have taken them a little bit lightly because that did not look like the same Buckeyes squad that was, smashing the competition all year long. Right. Michigan game was closer, but it really wasn't close, as we know the score indicated. But I tell you what, you got to watch. They talk about trap games, man. Well, you're at a sky high level. Come on, Michigan, OSU. Let's face it. And then you got to play Indiana, which nobody expected to be there. I think there could have been a little bit of a letdown, and I think that cost them. They lost what 13-2. There was such a low-scoring game, which was incredibly ridiculous. But I do think that Indiana has it. I really do. I think they got enough firepower and enough guts to win this thing. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, Thanks for asking. I really think that they took it a little lightly. Ohio State did.
All right, so let's talk about a school we don't really talk about much. Candy and I all know it all too well because we live in the area. But Florida International University, the Panthers, who play in Southwest Miami, and by the way, one of their biggest alumni guy happens to be a guy by the name of T.Y. Hilton, and T.Y. Hilton's a special player. And Mario Cristobal actually going ahead and coached there as well. But they're actually bowl eligible, and I'm going to give you their matchup. But this is the first time that they've been bowl eligible under first-year head coach Willie Simmons since 2019. So let me go over the matchup for FIU. Pardon me. They're 7-5. They take on University of Texas San Antonio and Dallas on December 26th. And FIU has won 4 straight. Marvin, obviously we all talk about the Miami Hurricanes, but what are your thoughts about FIU? They're a pretty good feel good story.
Yeah, listen, I lived down in South Florida for 15 years and became very familiar with FIU. Listen, in the pre-NIL era, what I would say is there is so much talent in South Florida that even if FIU is getting Miami leftovers, these are real athletes, elite players. I think finding a coach that could put something together, put that talent together is everything. You don't know what kind of player they are in the NIL era, but I'm sure they're competitive within their own conference. So, I'm a fan. I'm a supporter. Absolutely, I am from afar. And I'm proud. I'm happy to see them eligible for a bowl game. That's a proud football community, and they have a big base down there.
George,
27% chance is the ESPN indicator for FIU to win the game. Well, don't even get me started. I mean, yeah, you can throw the records out. This is a team that, like you said, Scott, has really been on the map this year. 7-5 record, and they're playing UTSA in that Responder Bowl. I give them credit because that's a school that, yeah, I've heard of them for men's basketball, but I really didn't hear too much about them for football over the years. But they've really done a great job, and they turned that thing around. I'm looking forward to that. That's one of the games that is going to be on the day after Christmas, December 26th, and that should be a good bowl game. But yeah, hats off. They've done a great job. Coach has done a great job down there.
Well, we've seen a lot of teams get out of bowl games, but FIU, I'm glad they got in one and stepped in the right direction. So obviously fired up Todd Bowles playing. Jacob, one of your people. Jacob, he said he's sleeping. I hope not.
No, I'm glad for him because we've had too many that have bailed out. I mean, I believe Florida State did too, when they got an opportunity to be in a bowl game.
But you know what, Joe, we're going to actually talk about Michigan in a few more minutes. A lot of people are asking, so we'll comment on it a little bit when we have a chance about the Sharon Moore. But Candy, give me your thoughts about FIU.
Congratulations to them. Why not? I mean, we don't talk about them a lot. They're one of the Florida schools that's least talked about. Let's face it. You bring up the Canes, you bring up the Gators, you bring up the Seminoles, and then maybe USF, FAU, and a little FIU. But let's remember there are some prominent. T.Y. Hilton graduated from FIU. Jonathan Cyprin, he was a safety. He was drafted from FIU. Jonnu Smith, tight end, drafted from FIU. So they've had some good talent as well. So
Jonnu Smith, the tight end?
Jonnu Smith, tight end, drafted in 2017.
Wow. I didn't know he was at FIU. He's a Pro Bowler. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, listen, teams like FIU and FAU, they produce players every now and then, but when they get
in there is abundant talent in South Florida, man. It's a gold mine. It really is. You know what I'm saying? So
they're called hidden gems.
Yeah.
Okay, Jacob.
Nothing hidden about this anymore. You don't just, like you brought this up earlier. That you just don't go in there and they get the junk like you heard in the movie Twins. That you got the junk and everything. That's what an FIU used to get and everything. It's not that way anymore. Everybody's a gem, and you get all these players. I mean, watch the NCAA tournament, watch these games, watch the FIU, and I will tell you this right now. These are heavy-duty players and heavy-duty teams, and all that kind of stuff, and you have to work with. Nothing is a gimme. Absolutely nothing is a gimme, and you're going to see this. And I'm just glad for them that they get themselves a chance because the main thing right now is it's going to get tougher knowing what they're going to be doing with the tournaments and everything. So they're going to have to get themselves better. They have something to build on.
Okay, I need to go to the chat room. We got some really good questions. I'm going to answer a lot of them if I can. And I want to keep the show going, but these are some really good ones. There's no way we can. Fernando Holiday Vargas says, Candy, go to your top picks this weekend. Think about it. You can tell them at the end of the show. Ole Miss is the best college football team right now. I don't know. I haven't seen the version without him with Lane Kiffin. I'll be paying attention. Hey, Big Ten over second. How are you? What's up? Fire Todd Bowles play things. I like that name. Jacob, you all right. We got thoughts on the Michigan situation. A lot. You know what? They can do way better than Sharon Moore. I believe there'll be a lot of good candidates that they'll definitely want to go ahead and find that job. Sharon Moore called self-destruction 101. That's exactly what he did. He had the best job on the planet, and this guy found a way to go ahead and blow it. But why did he get arrested? I don't know. I guess we'll pay attention. And I'll tell you what, Big Ten over a second, just so you know, this will be a primary topic on Tuesday night on Inside the Picks In. I'm just answering some basic surface questions. Give me a little bit of time over the weekend, and I'll have more specifics for you. Yes, Devin Singletary came out of FAU. He's a heck of a player. Auburn, my thoughts on Alex. Well, I'll tell you one thing. They got a good one. Auburn football should be very good because of Alex Golesh. I know Alex well, and I've never seen a guy, to me, Auburn got that hire right. So, yeah, I love that one. And Scott looks like he would work at a golf pro shop. Well, I don't know. I kind of like what I'm doing, but I appreciate that Big Ten over second. You'll have all your questions. I'm trying to give you a basic idea what they are now, but please tune in to Inside the Pigskin on Saturday as well as Tuesday, and we're going to go into more depth on the Michigan firing of, excuse me, Sharon Moore. Anybody want to add real quickly? I want to talk about Philip Rivers, and then I have a bunch of other topics I need to really get to. Go ahead. Anybody else real quick? It'll be rapid fire with your comments at the moment.
I'll bring it up on Monday tonight.
Okay, no problem. Well, I'm sure Jacob quit. All right. Let's continue. This is a rapid fire topic. Philip Rivers is unretiring after Daniel Jones' injury. Jacob, do you like it or not?
Yeah, if he depends on Taylor. If he depends on Taylor, he uses the same. He was saying this. He uses the same offense with his high school team as Shane Steichen does. So as long as he doesn't try to play hero ball, as long as he doesn't try to get himself hurt or try to do too much, and he relies on Taylor and that run game, he'll be fine.
Candy?
As long as he's in shape to to go in there, kudos to him. I heard recently that he wanted to come back because he's afraid Stafford's going to take some of his total yardage because he's really close. So it remains to be seen, and remains to be seen if he gets in and how successful he is. But I hope he's in good condition to be in there.
Marvin?
Sports science evolves and it moves fast, you know what I'm saying? And I'm assuming he spent the last 5 years recovering and, his body's in great shape, literally, you know what I'm saying? Typically in these situations, you have to do a conditioning test. I don't know if they made him do that conditioning test. Something tells me he didn't have to do that. But it's a young man's game. It is a young man's game. Those young boys hit hard. They move fast out there. Jacob is right. This all depends on his ability to just hand the ball to Jonathan Taylor. Because if that's the game and that they maintain that and they play some play action off of that, then, I think there's a chance. But again, 5 years is a long time off. I'm rooting for the guy. I'm rooting for Phil. So we'll see.
Likewise. George, you have final word on it.
Well, I don't think it's going to work out for all the mentions, the reasons that you mentioned, Marvin. It's a young man's game. He hasn't had a contact and got hit in the last 4 or 5 years. He had no training camp. He has a playbook that he probably doesn't know what much is besides the handoff to the running back. I get that, but he still has to complete passes for Indiana to win. It's just a very, very terrible and unfortunate set of events for the Colts as they were completing a marvelous season.
Well, one thing I'll say is this. A lot of time with quarterbacks, depending upon if they had a hip injury, back injury, knee injury, they'll tell you they still got an arm, but it was their knee that gave out. Like they still got an arm, but it was their neck or whatever it may be. So the reality is, like I said, if this guy spent the last couple of years healing and in therapy and doing all the things that he probably has the ability to do, it's a young man's game, but let's see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's see.
Well, George, another thing too like I was saying before, he runs a version of Shane Steichen's offense for his high school. They're 25-3 with him as a coach and 13-1 this year.
Okay.
So he knows a lot of the offense already. It's just that's what I was saying. I don't want him. I want him to do play action. I want him to do plenty of handoffs, maybe some bubble screens, do all that kind of stuff. I just don't want him to try to play hero ball.
The only way he goes to that team is if he has some type of connection to the offensive play caller. He doesn't go to that team if he has no relationship with those offensive coaches and has never seen that offense. That doesn't work like that. So yeah, what you said is true, Jacob. I read that or I saw that on TV, but he definitely is familiar with that offense already, for sure.
Okay, on to basketball here. Good guys deserve to be paid. I'll give you an example of one of them. Kelvin Sampson will earn $23.5 million in a new 4-year deal, making him one of the highest paid coaches in college basketball. The base salary will be $5.5 million in 25-26 and 26-27, and increase to $6 million in 27-28 and $6.5 million in 28-29. All right, Marvin, what are your thoughts about Kelvin Sampson? This guy obviously took his team to the finals, and now Houston Cougars are paying him back in a good way.
Elite level coach. That's the going rate in the NIL era where you have these big TV contracts. I'm surprised he didn't get a little bit more than that, to be honest with you.
Really? Okay. George?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's very deserving. I mean, this man has been a great coach for many, many years. I really am impressed by him, what he did last year, especially. Yeah, I mean, should he get more? Probably so, but it's still nice. It's a nice coin. It's a nice coin that he's going to have now, and that goes without saying. Calvin has done a great job.
Candy, he obviously was an assistant for the Milwaukee Bucks. I know you'll research that too, like everything else. What are your thoughts?
Was from 2008 to 2011. Yes, his coaching career started at Michigan State. He went to Montana Tech, Washington State, Oklahoma, Indiana, Milwaukee Bucks, Houston Rockets, and now with Houston, he's been there since 2014. If I list even just like the championships, 3 NC2A Division 1 regional Final Fours, 3 Frontier tournaments, 2 Frontier regular season, 4 Big 12 tournaments, 3 Big 12 regular seasons, 2 ACC tournaments, 4 ACC regular seasons. And if I go through like Coach of the Year, AP Coach of the Year twice, NABC Coach of the Year twice, Sporting News Coach of the Year, Pac-10 Coach of the Year, Big 8 Coach of the Year, 4-time AAC Coach of the Year, 2-time Big 12 Coach of the Year. All those accolades come for being a good coach. Kudos to him. He's had a really good career. I hope it continues.
Yeah, I'm glad you're getting paid, Jacob.
Yeah, he's definitely an elite coach, and it's like, but you want to know something? He's like 71 years old, and he's getting this big. You want to know what that tells us? Also, is it's not just the athletes, but it's just the people in general when it comes to the PT, physical therapy, training, everything. These coaches and everybody, they don't smoke like they used to, don't drink like they used to. They work out better like they did. They've got better habits, all that kind of stuff. It's just a different world. So now you're talking about a guy who's about 71, 72 years old who's got a contract to near 80. And we're not questioning it. That's the big thing. We're not questioning this like you would years ago. It's like, oh my God. It's like they talked about Connie Mack so many years ago. His last 10 years, he sat in the dugout and let everybody else do it because he was just kind of there. And he was kind of there. You don't have that anymore. It's like that just shows everything. And his mindset, people are going to be rooting for him to win it all. You know what I mean? So he's got himself a few years to do it.
Okay, let's go to a non-sports topic. This one really intrigued me. You talk about growth worldwide. This one's definitely going to hit you. More than 400 African American companies earn over $1 billion annually. And I'm talking about African American companies earn over excuse me, I'll go over it again because this is pretty interesting. More than 400 African American companies earn over $1 billion annually, and Africa is home to approximately 345 companies. South Africa leads with 147 such firms, accounting for over 40% of the continent's total. Egypt follows with 43 companies. Nigeria has 23, and Morocco owns 20. I know this is different, Marvin, but I talk about a worldwide economy that affects everybody. What are your thoughts about what you've heard here?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think there's so much information on finance and entrepreneurship, and it's now such a part of the culture and the music, and you're seeing it. You're seeing evidence of that. You know what I'm saying? This is consistent with what we were saying about how the narrative, has grown and changed with athletes. Again, just more information and more resources. So, over time, you're going to see this, and especially with the African American groups, and I love to hear that.
Right.
Personally, as an African American myself, definitely it's inspiring, and I don't think that's something that's said enough. But it's all about a positive movement toward entrepreneurship and just having financial information.
Great stuff, Marvin. Go ahead, George.
Well, I applaud them. I mean, the African American community has come from, as we know, just a horrible situation, decades and centuries ago. The fact of the matter is that I cannot believe that, and I just not the politics, but just the resources that are available, and the stuff that that they can make and sell and market. Is incredible. There's so many countries in Africa that have outstanding workers, outstanding products, and it's about time that we paid attention, okay? I'm just saying this because the last guy that was president and the current guy, they've had like 1-2 2 visits to a country in Africa. Come on. This is a great area. This is a great part of the world. People are eager to learn. And yes, there's problems with civil unrest, but they're great. They're great. And these companies illustrate to me, even if they're American based, that they have a great sense of where they came from. So I'm all for it. I think that's great news.
Yeah, Big Ten oversight. I'm going to defer on Israel right now because I have a couple other topics, but maybe another time. Your ads for 5 viewers. Well, I don't know about that. Congrats. I'm not sure about that either. Candy, some thoughts about this current topic that we're talking about?
I mean, it's great. It's great for the economy. Not only are there blacks, but there are especially black women-led companies too. Significant tech startups with massive opportunities in agriculture, tech, and services. And there's funding that has also helped some of these because we're trying to help fund and help these countries. So that's been able to help. Although black-led startups receive significantly less venture capital than foreign-led ones. But it's not as developed of a country as a lot of us, so there's a lot more opportunity out there. So, hey, if you want to invest in some untapped markets, here we go.
Jacob?
54 countries in Africa. We have this knowledge now as far as a whole continent. Yet to this day, we have the stupid Tyson versus Floyd Mayweather announcing that they're going to have a match in Africa. Like, how vague can you be? Are they trying to tell us to go find it? I mean, there's 54 countries, but here's the thing. Also, 35 to 40% of the continent's still dark. If they get their solar power and any of the other powers and get it up, if they can get out away from the civil unrest and everything like that, Africa is going to be the richest continent in the world. Let's just be completely honest about that. So we're watching the early stages of this right now. You watch when I turn 70, it's going to be the richest. I promise you. I'm 47 now. It's going to be the richest continent in the world, just because it's going to be all lit, and there's going to be all those. It's going to be all those minerals and all the stuff that you can get and all the opportunities and the people we see. And you're going to see more of the African nations in the NBA and in other sports and all that stuff. You just watch it over the years coming.
I enjoyed the response from everybody on this panel. That's why I dug deep into my bag of tricks to go out there and pull this one out. Great job by everybody. A couple more non-sport topics going to Pundit. I know Jacob has a lot to talk about. We're doing okay for now with time, but this is a very inspiring one. A teen influencer who chronicled her cancer journey, died at the age of 14, and Zuza Bean stopped her, share her battle on social media with millions. All right, Marvin, this is a really inspiring story. What are your thoughts about this young teen influencer that's sharing her battle on social media? Zuza Bean, everybody, a very inspiring young lady at 14.
It's active leadership. It's courageous, man. Just, for her to be able to allow others to see her journey, so it may help them heal, so they could feel better about their situation, so they don't feel as alone. She's giving awareness. She's teaching people. You know what I'm saying? So I applaud those kind of acts, man. I do. We hear again. I'm sorry this lady lost her life, but it's outstanding to see young people lead in that way and show that kind of courage, especially in a day and age where I think, our young people are struggling. I do. I think this kind of message, this kind of heart, this kind of situation is just overall inspiring. So sorry to hear about it. But again, I applaud this young lady for her courage.
George.
Yeah, ditto. I agree with you, Marvin. And this young lady deserves the accolades. I mean, this is an amazing journey she was on. Unfortunately, it ended not the way we all wanted it to end. And but the fact of the matter is that she's able to reach an audience of young people that have other instances of this or any kind of sickness or problems, suicide thoughts, whatever it is. I mean, there's a lot of teens out there that need this and need information so they can be more positive in their life.
Candy.
Do you know where she's from? She is from Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Really?
Uh, yes, yes. She loved clothes, skincare, and Taylor Swift. She spent a few seconds scrolling on her social media. Um, Basically, she was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia at 3 years old. AML is a blood cancer more commonly found in adults. Her TikTok account with 2.8 million followers has videos that range from her trying new skincare products to viral get ready with me videos where she dives into explaining her cancer journey. You're not able to go on play dates. You're not able to go to the mall, her grandmother told her. The platform is her way to reach out to people and to help have some sense of a normal life. She said Zula's online presence and friends online often filled the void left by her illness. She grew resilient and strong, amassing millions of supporters on TikTok and Instagram. Her family announced of her passing. It was heartbreaking for the online community that had considered her a friend. She took her followers on a journey and she shared the incredible moments of triumph, and she actually shared the raw moments as well. So she had multiple bone marrow transplants, many treatments. Um, Kudos to someone of her age being able to do that and share life like that. I don't. That's something that typically is a very private. You going through all those, treatments like that, but for her to expose that side of her, I give her a lot of credit.
Hey, Jacob, you can comment on this one more non-sports topic.
Yeah,
Fun
I
is
was
fun to
just gonna.
interrupt.
When I hear influencers, sometimes I shake. I just kind of like shudder a little bit because I'm always expecting when I hear influencer that dies, it's usually suicide or something bad, other worse. Whether it's violence or whatever. Because the whole idea of the influencer, sometimes it's all they live on for. But that's all she had. She couldn't go out to the mall, couldn't go out with her friends, couldn't go out anything. She had no immune system to do that. She helped a lot of kids and a lot of people in this life. So I'm glad that I was wrong in this. And she was a brave young lady. And I mean, rest in peace to her. She's definitely hit with the angels. There's no question.
Okay, well, I put this up here for a reason. Joe Smith, 223410. Here's a coffee for Jacob.
It's more than coffee. I'm telling you, it's more than
All
coffee. I'm
right,
telling
but
you
hold
that.
on. There's a reason why I put this up, so don't feel too bad. It's okay, Jacob. And the reason why it's our last non-sports topic of the night, and I've been waiting for a while to do it. Iceland has no McDonald's or no Starbucks. Sorry, you can't get. So Iceland, I'm going back to Iceland. I've left Iceland now for a little while. What are your thoughts about no coffee or no Starbucks in Iceland? Jacob, we'll let you lead it up.
I'm to be honest. I'm very cool with it. Because they don't have any of the bad habits of going out for everything quicker, and they like I've heard of Iceland making bread inside of a volcano. So you're not gonna get that when you have a McDonald's or a Starbucks. They probably make coffee differently also. So I'm cool. I'm for it.
Candy?
Are you sure that they don't have either? Because,
Well, according to my sources, they are. Don't question my sources.
well, according to my sources, Iceland's first ever Starbucks in Reykjavik opened in 2025.
Well, all right,
So,
just started. It wasn't back when they had this going. Go on, Candy.
okay, so Iceland famously known for no McDonald's, with it actually had one, but it closed back in 2009 due to the financial crisis, making imported ingredients too costly. And let's face it, we go to McDonald's because it's cheap, it's quick, and well, if you go there, it's cheap, it's quick. And when you're talking about importing all the way over to Iceland, it just didn't make sense. And so I get it. But Iceland was a very beautiful country, a nice place to visit.
I love Iceland. We'll have more Iceland scenes coming later. I've just given it a break for a little while. All right, Marvin.
Pros and cons to living way out there like that. You know what I'm saying? Pros and cons to that. The pro is, all I've seen is the green sky and how beautiful it is and all that stuff. You guys had your journey there that you share parts of online. And the fact that they don't deal with the American issue.
Right.
Good for them. So on the downside, and then again, well, then with McDonald's, I mean, golly, guys. I mean, McDonald's it's not a fast food. I mean, it's not a health chain, right? So they're probably better off without it, even though I've bought more Happy Meals for my kids than anybody else, in the history of this planet. But yeah, pros and cons to living in Iceland, y'all. That's you have to wait until 2025 to get a Starbucks, and you don't have McDonald's. It's all right. Where y'all at is beautiful.
That ain't the worst thing in the world. All right, George.
Two of my favorite places. Starbucks for their great coffee, and McDonald's. In fact, they've got a pretty decent coffee themselves. I was kind of surprised, but knowing that it's on its way. But two of the biggest names, obviously, in the U.S. But Iceland, hey, things might be a little bit slower. It might take more time to open up places like that, or else, like you said, they maybe not even have the pardon the word, the appetite for these until just recently. But I think it's really interesting, Scott, that it's taken that long.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. All right, we have time for pundit, and the man sitting up there ready to deliver it is Mr. Jacob Christner. Go ahead. I'm sure you got about 5 to 7 minutes or so to state your
Might get a
case.
lesser reward penny.
And by the way, Jacob will also be on Sports Draft tomorrow. He's one of our big superstars in hockey. Go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah. I heard a thing from Mike Tomlin that stood out today. They asked him about him being on the hot seat, and he said, I've been on the hot seat for 19 years. And this is the truth on black athletes, black coaches, and whatever. People have heard the truth, and they'll say this, that you have to be double and triple that good to stick around. The idea of it is that he's had to, a guy like Tomlin's had to win every year to stay. Which goes to me to Sharon Moore. If you know this, if you understand that you have to have an expectation to be able to to have an excellence. It's not just excellence in your record. It's not just excellence in your record. It is excellence in your daily life. It is. I mean, keeping your ego in check and curbing it. What happened today? By the way, you got fired for what it sounds like a improper thing with a staffer, but it's not the point. I mean, you are married. Last I heard, you're married. But here's the thing: you also got arrested. You have now hurt a lot of possible black coaches' chances alone. So with so many different parts of the country, you've hurt their chances without question, because that's all over the news right now. It's going to be all over the news tomorrow. If you hear a legend like Tomlin say something like that, you hear all the legends of every sport, entertainment, and everything saying we have to be triple as good, double as good to get somewhere, to be able to get the same as the white individual. They say that. I'm not putting a debate on anything like that. I'm just saying what they say. And there isn't a debate because there's a lot of truth to it. But if you know this, why are you making mistakes like this? Why did Ime Udoka make his? He's back with Houston, but he doesn't have another chance. I don't think so. If he would do it again, I think he knows it. We've got it by itself. The egos have got to get curbed, and there needs to be more mentors in the community by itself. I've been a basketball coach twice as far as volunteer. I've had black kids, I've had girls, I've had all that stuff. And the thing I say all the time is find yourself, find a black mentor. Because they've got a lot of theirs. I want them to be able to do it. But for the mentors in this world, you need to have your expectations higher. If it's until the case comes,
right?
Until the case comes that you have an equal footing on this world, that you don't have to be triple as good to stick, or you don't have to be like Tomlin and win every year to stick. Until that time, get your egos in check and have yourself a real expectation.
That's one of your better pundits I've ever heard. The only thing I'll say about Sharon Moore is, number one, Jim Harbaugh succeeding him was the best opportunity you ever had, and you get suspended with cause. You are DONE, done. We'll talk a lot more about this, obviously, on Tuesday night's edition of Inside the Fiction. We'll have our big crew up there, and and we'll all talk about it. But Sharon Moore, in my opinion, is an absolute embarrassment, and he's going to get whatever he deserves. That's just unbelievable. You have the greatest job in college football, and you sat there and just blew it the way he did. That is bad. Even Jim Harbaugh won't be able to get him out of this. So,
As an update, just so everybody is aware of, he has been arrested and booked into jail at this time.
okay,
Wow.
thank you. That's bad.
Are they saying it's a sexual assault?
Yes.
Oh,
Was it
wow.
sexual assault? Wow.
Assault investigation, an alleged assault investigation.
Yeah. Like I said, his career, we already know his career is over, but he's just hurt a lot of black coaches' potential. He sure did.
I'll tell you one thing, Mel Tucker didn't help his cause any when he got let go by Michigan State. So now
Never
you have
been
two.
a Mel Tucker fan, so yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, unfortunately, this is the way it is in Michigan, okay? You had two African Americans holding the top jobs in those respective states, and now inside of a year they're not there. This is not an African American problem at all. I'm not going there. I'm just saying you had Sharon Moore at Michigan and Mel Tucker, and it's just too bad that those two individuals are not leading their respective programs. That's all I'm going to say about it. But we'll talk about this topic on Tuesday night's edition of Inside the Pigskin. As you know, I'm anxious to hear what Ben Troop and Tom Shanahan have. And Marvin, you'll have an opportunity to go in more detail as well. I'm going to turn you guys loose. There won't be as many topics as there have been in the past, but this will be on that list. Okay, with that said, we have time to let everybody know they can get a hold of. Go ahead, Jacob.
I'm going to do this and I'm going to get off. I'm not feeling well tonight. I'm on Sideline Sports. I'm on TikTok is Sideline One Sports. SYDE now. We have a change on the spelling, but it's SYDELINE. Sideline One Sports. I've got that right there. I am also on Instagram as the Jacob Christner _. I'm on Facebook as Jacob Christner. And there's just a bunch of things that I do and in my meantime, Also, and I gotta go now, man.
I know you have to go. We'll look forward to seeing you on Sports Wrap tomorrow. Talk hockey. So
good to see you, Marvin. See you, George.
And have a good evening, Jacob. See you tomorrow night.
Feel better, Jacob.
Okay, Candy, go ahead. Put our information out there. Then we'll wrap it up with Marvin and George.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, and the foreword was written by George Eichhorn. Great book, gentlemen. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. You can see a picture of a young Scott with a young Muhammad Ali or a young Scott and a young Tommy Lasorda. All kinds of great stories. Go get your copy today. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, including writings by Scott and George. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show or be a guest on a show, email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Last but not least, if you see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to the South Florida Tribune's YouTube channel. I don't know what you're waiting for. Just do it. Click it, like, and share it with all your friends and family, and then turn your notifications on so you're notified anytime one of our great programs. Come on. Back to you, Scott.
I'll turn it over to Marvin. Marvin, obviously you're involved. You and I have our things going on with another network as well. And obviously we have our show on Saturday, and you're on with me Tuesday and Wednesday. Go ahead, Marvin. You're a busy, busy man.
Everything Scott just said. And I'm busy, Scott, and I appreciate the opportunities here. I'm on here with the South Florida Tribune Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning, Wednesday evening. And you could also catch us on Saturday as well. You can catch my handles, Marvin on the mic, and you can catch me on Locked On USC Mondays and Thursday with Mark Colgan.
Hey, George, go ahead.
All right, you can find my columns at the South Florida Tribune under the contributors section, and at the end of my column, there's always a link there. I have a book called Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air, chronicling 80, 90 years of sports on radio and television in Detroit. Some great people that, of course, Scott and I grew up with, listening and admiring, and having them mentor us as well. I can be reached on Twitter or X at SanGSports99 or gicorn@yahoo.com. I'm also on LinkedIn a lot and Facebook as well. Hope to see you all. Thank you.
Well done. Great show tonight. Glad to have Scott Solomon. Glad to have Jacob, Chris, Ron, George, Marvin. You guys are great. Candy, what can I say about you? I haven't said already. She's the brains of the operation. She does a great job on the air, but what she does behind the scenes, nobody can even begin to fathom. So with that said,
Thank you, Candy.
yeah, she's
Thank you.
unbelievable. So with that said, I want to thank everybody for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange. Tomorrow night we have Sports Wrap and Fire Up, and of course, don't forget on Saturday you're going to find Marvin and I, Candy, and Mel on Inside the Pigskin, aka as we think Fire Up is a country club. We got a boxing match between these two Southern California guys that I love watching. So I have a front row seat, and everybody else can have a front row seat as well by tuning in. So with that said, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow night with our program. Good night, everybody, and thanks for
Guys,
joining.
be good.
Good night.
Good night.